next
streaming
month when it
on
comes
YouTube.
to
It's
the
the
spreadsheet of different projects that
IIJA
we're pulling
meeting.
from different city
What's happening right
plans.
now, which is
It
basically
is
like
our
a big
goal to have
infrastructure
that
meeting.
in a
Again, that's over on my
close to
YouTube channel. I'm just
100%
kind of doing a
ready to go
preview.
by the end of
They're going through
August.
this
Okay.
So
infrastructure
we got to
meeting
make sure we hit that
right now,
deadline.
and
Okay, good.
essentially
Well,
it's the Committee for a Better New
looking forward
Orleans,
to
which
it.
is an
And I was
organization that
just
I'm
trying to
very
find you
familiar
guys
with
on
and I'm
social
working
media.
with
So
currently
for
in real
those who are
time in New Orleans.
watching, if you
Better
could just
NOLA is
give
their
us your
handle.
social media handles so people
Yeah.
can follow you and participate.
They're
We are
presenting
at
right
Better
now their
NOLA
plan
everywhere.
of how they plan to help us get millions and dollars of infrastructure money, right?
No
And
public
so
comment. That
the
concludes your
IIJA is
presentation.
basically
Thank you so much for
the
being
big
here.
infrastructure money you keep
All
talking
right,
about,
and I
these
think
billions
that
and billions of
also
dollars.
completes our agenda.
The
So
way
with
this
that,
is going to
I
work
will
is that it's
entertain
actually going to take a
motion to
massive
adjourn.
amount of community input. And
Moved
right
by
now, what I'm
Councilmember
speaking
Green,
about
seconded by
is what's
Representative
currently being
Hughes. All right,
streamed on my
thank you all
YouTube
so much
channel
for your time.
ahead
We're
of
going
the
to take a
Entergy
quick
utility meeting. So in case you're over there watching that, you can kind of get a handle on things. But I assume this meeting is likely going to come to an end very soon, making way for the next meeting, and that's actually what's happening right now. They're making the transition from the IIJA meeting to the Entergy meeting. So let's stick with that. Looks like they're even changing the graphics right now. So if you go over on my YouTube as I'm streaming, and really the whole point of why I'm streaming this on YouTube is so we can kind of have a collective community conversation. You know, I understand that there is the opportunity to do public comment, but at the same time, you know, public comment isn't as direct. And so we're going to kind of do some play-by-play on this Entergy meeting. So if you have any questions maybe that you want answered, I can potentially get those answered for you. Or if you have the question and then the response, I'll know to reference your question. So I would suggest head on over to my YouTube channel right now. The link is in my bio. We're going to get started over there real soon. I just wanted to kind of come on here and give a preview of that. And so right now what we're dealing with is a moratorium that the city council is trying to put forth on behalf of the citizens of New Orleans. And what that moratorium is going to do, it's going to stop Entergy from being able to shut people's power off. And so I believe they're trying to stretch the moratorium now until November 1st, which I think is an amazing idea because that also covers a huge portion of hurricane season, right? And so what it looks like what they're trying to do is they're trying to get Entergy to not be able to cut people's power off for the remainder of hurricane season, which I think is going to be a great idea. It looks like they're switching YouTube channel. Again, that link is in my bio. So come on and let's make sure our voices are heard. Later, guys.
Underdog Central.
There we go. Pull this microphone up. What's going on, everybody? Here we go. We are getting ready to get going with the with this meeting here. This is the Utility Cable Telecom Technology and Committee meeting. Pause that loud for real quick. So yeah, we're getting ready to get started with the meeting on the moratorium on shutting your power off, and this is a committee meeting. So this isn't the full city council meeting. It's how they vote on getting things to go in front of the city council. So things have to come into the committee. And so the Utility, Cable, Telecommunications, and Tech Committee, they're meeting right now to decide if they're going to put an ordinance forward for the city council to vote on. From there, then the larger city council will be able to pass it yay or nay. And from what I read, the moratorium is looking to go to November 1st. So it looks like it's the full swath of hurricane season, which I think is an amazing idea. So come on over to my YouTube page. If you're already here, welcome. And we'll get this meeting going as soon as it gets started.
Top of the globe, we watched it all grow, from white tees and jabos, wherever you from though, where you about to go, let's all watch the show. Hold your applause, I insist. The best thing you've ever heard has commenced. I can't stop, I won't stop, I persist. And if a canvas is blank, I will invent. An artiste, but I never withdrew. I keep my feet planted, baby, I am Groot. It's Underdog Central, it don't get no better. Rock the Smoothie King Center, that's with no hit record. Now you know I'm not playing. I started surveying, I'm about to buffet it and leave the rest decaying. An independent nigga, though I'm feeling like I major. Touchdown in your city and they treat me like the mayor. No room for squares opposite of John Mayer. It's going down, the crowd louder than Craig Sager. It's all in my makeup, you niggas better wake up. Not a Fat Boys break up, what? Now let's start the show. Purple, green, and gold. I came out that N-O-O to the top of the globe. We watched it all grow. From white tees and jabos, wherever you from though, where you about to go, let's all watch the show. Now every time that I come around, your best advice is to hunker down. Any loud TVs, you better turn them down. Like your grandma when a storm coming, but it's just your boy coming. And I ain't here to play, I'm trying to destroy something. I'm giving niggas work, I'm trying to employ something. From a city called New Orleans, you know we enjoy stunting. Ladies Jones for my junior, I guess I'm a Roy something. But enough about me, let's talk about you. But you ain't even did enough to talk about. Ooh, and that there sad, call that blue. I'm the best below the heavens, call that blue. Fast as a Jaguar, that's Maurice Jones true. I'm about to take your bishop, you have no shoes, hanging on for dear life off the side of a roof. And that's a damn shame, but part of the campaign. Now let's start the show. Purple, green, and gold. I came out that N-O-O to the top of the globe. We watched it all grow. From white tees and jabos, wherever you from though, where you about to go, let's all watch the show. What is there left to do? Yo, I'd rather you trust me than to love me. That's cause love can grow from trust me. But giving out love, I'm hella rusty. I'm super guarded, preparing for superstardom, baby. I'm well on my way. I get more love every day. We wilder than Dante. They call him a heavyweight. I burn shit, burn quits. I make opposition skate. I earn this, so I'm the only one that's eating off this plate. You ain't help me get it, you won't help me with it. Ain't see you when I started, don't pull up when we finish. It's Underdog Central, forever what we on. It's like an ear canal, I keep my circle small. Dig? I ain't worried about you haters, I'm like, they won't ever catch me slipping, ain't no laid back with my feet up, I'm like, let's go. I ain't worried about you haters, I'm like, they won't ever catch me slipping, ain't no laid back with my feet up, I'm like, let's go. Catching flights, taking trips, I'm almost never home. Chasing checks and stacking chips.
Aaron, are you ready for roll call? All right. Roll call, please.
Chair Morrell, present. Councilmember Moreno, present. Councilmember Thomas, present. Councilmember Giarrusso, present. Councilmember King, present.
All right,
Also
so it
for
looks
the
like here
record,
we
have
go.
Councilmembers
We're getting ready to
Green
get
and
started
Harris.
with the meeting.
Thank you.
And
First up,
we are
we
off
have
live and to the
the
races. I'll be curious
approval
to see
of the
when they
minutes.
turn
My
this camera
screen
on.
is down, so somebody's come
Yeah, it looks like
resolve
they're
that,
having
but
some technical
I will
difficulties.
take
Here we go.
Council President Moreno moves to approve the minutes, to which Councilman Jeruso seconds. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the minutes are approved unanimously. First up, we have the one item on the agenda, which is the resolution requesting E&O cease customer shutoffs pending a moratorium that would exist through November 1st, 2022. Thank you. I believe before we take up this resolution, I thought we asked Entergy to come if they want to make any comments beforehand. If they want to, this is your time to do so. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon.
So it looks like we have Entergy stepping up to the microphone to sort of
afternoon.
state their case first.
Good afternoon. I'm Deanna Rodriguez, President and CEO of Entergy New Orleans. And I want to thank everyone for having us here today and inviting us to speak. It's a pretty exciting day, and it's an announcement I'd like to make. But we wanted to first make a few comments. The first is that the residents of New Orleans are not just our customers. They are our friends, our family, and our neighbors. They are also our colleagues. As Entergy has about 2,800 employees in the greater New Orleans area with over 4,500 employees across the state. From the cost of groceries to the price of gas, I know the reason we're here is to talk about high bills, and we are all paying a lot more for products we need to survive. As you know, that includes the cost of electricity, and unfortunately, our industry is not immune from the economic pressures that are causing prices to rise nationally and around the world. We commend the council, and we are aligned with you on your efforts to help the most vulnerable of Entergy New Orleans customers. Not only will Entergy New Orleans implement the council's shutoff moratorium.
Look, this seems to be a good sign. It seems like Entergy is on board here. There's not going to be any pushback, which is great. This is how community partnerships should be with large corporations. So far, sounding so good.
That Entergy is making a $10 million contribution to help low-income customers across our service area to manage their bills. We will also waive late fees for low-income customers. We will refund any late fees paid by these customers going back to June of 2022. And we will waive credit card fees for all of those customers who prefer to pay their bill by credit card. In addition, we will continue to work with the council, with everyone here, Curo, and the advisors to identify other ways to help our customers. And this includes applying approximately $13 million in credits identified by the council advisors to offset the pending rate actions, implementing $1.9 million forgiveness plan approved by the council once it is funded, and utilizing $3.1 million that the council has set aside for electric and gas customers that are behind in their bills, and perhaps spreading fuel costs incurred in high bill months over a longer period of time. These are among the few items that we have talked about with council advisors, and there are some others that we can continue to talk about with the advisors and with your staff. And for customers who are struggling to pay their bills, this is the most important thing that I want to ask, is that you help us and encourage them to take advantage of our customer assistance programs. This is important because it helps customers to avoid falling months behind and continue to accumulate debt. It is also important to keep in mind that E&O must continue to operate as a business and invest in infrastructure, and any large arrearage balances ultimately increase the cost to all customers. So we would encourage customers to call us and let us know if we can help them. As always, if customers are having trouble paying in full, Entergy will work with each of these customers directly on payment arrangements that fit their specific needs. We encourage customers to call us at 1-800-ENTERGY to discuss any of the programs that are available for their specific needs. We look forward to working with the City Council to find more sustainable solutions to get through these tough times that everyone is experiencing. So thank you.
Thank you. First up for comment, we have Councilmember Thomas.
First name Hallie, last name Luya. And, you know, let there be light isn't just biblical. Let there be light isn't just a switch on our walls and our homes and on our products. Let there be light is ultimately what happens with the light and utility provider. I see our chairman is working. First of all, to the committee and to the chairman, the people in this community long to see something go their way. They long for a win. We're embroiled in so many fights about what to go right here. We've set a tone in many cases where people are kind of hopeless here, and they don't see light, even when there is light. So for our chairman, thank you for the work that you did here with the rest of the committee to not only allow there to be some light, but hopefully that light and that light switch will light the way to some other hope and some other aspirations and some other things that make the people in this city feel like something is going their way. So thank you guys. This committee, chairman ought to pat himself on the back, but also the utility company, because this is the kind of collective work, collective accountability, because a lot of times we push for accountability and the folk don't have to be accountable. But in terms of our charter responsibility and our regulatory responsibility, this is the level of accountability and solutions and collective work that people are actually looking for. So I'm just really elated, and I can't understate how important this is, because we live in a town right now where people think everything is bad and everybody's at odds. And in this moment, Chairman, you let there be some light. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Thomas. Next up, we have Ms. Moreno.
Thank you.
That was really great by Oliver Thomas there. Basically just lining out the idea that everybody wants this, and no matter how we feel, this is great for everybody in the city.
$10 million investment to help low-income customers across the Entergy footprint. So if we're talking about the Entergy Corporation footprint, how much would that be for the Entergy New Orleans area?
It would depend on the customer base that's eligible to receive that amount. So it will be by low-income customers, and it will be sent to all of the customer footprint. I apologize because I don't have the number, but it will be dependent on those that are eligible to receive those funds.
Will this be an application type of process, or will this be a situation where the company selects? If you can walk me just through that, because I know we'll be getting the questions.
Right, and we will have those answers for you. We don't have them right this minute, but what we will do is continue to work with our community partners. We worked with various community partners already where customers are identified as low-income customers. They can go, it's either through one of the current programs that we have, Sandra, is that right?
Right, that's correct. I mean, we have a number of community partners that do customer assistance. Also, our Power to Care program. So there's a combination of things that we're going to do to make sure that we're able to assist customers, as Ms. Rodriguez said.
Okay. Yeah, I think the more specifics that you can give us around, this $10 million investment,
Sure.
the better, because we'll be the ones getting the questions.
And we will
around
have
it.
that for you. We didn't want to delay in making this announcement because we know how critical it was for this meeting and how important it is to the customers in our areas. So we thought we would combine it and rush it just a little bit to make, but it was important for us to announce it. And then we have a process, but I don't have the details with me. We'll provide those to each of your offices. We're also going to make sure that it's announced to customers overall.
Okay, that's appreciated. My other questions have to do with Grand Gulf. From what I understand, Grand Gulf continues to be down. Estimated time of repairs to get Grand Gulf nuclear plant back up and running.
I'll let Courtney, she has the
Sure.
most up-to-date information.
Yeah, and then Brian chime in because there's it's really sensitive to talk about an ongoing nuclear outage for market reasons, so I'm going to try to be careful in how I address this. But Grand Gulf is currently in an outage. We are going to be prepared to talk more to the council at the. We were prepared to talk about it at the August meeting, so we don't have a ton of details that we can share publicly at this point. But the operations are safe and sound at this moment, and I don't want to, sort of presume what this will do for rates or anything like that. But we don't have a ton of details that we're prepared to address.
How about this? And Brian, maybe you can answer this question for me. Every week that Grand Gulf is out, we're getting estimates that it could potentially be another $1 million added to New Orleans customers. Does that figure seem correct?
I'm not sure. What I can say is that the fuel costs for Grand Gulf flow through the fuel adjustment clause. So the fuel adjustment clause is billed on a 2-month lag. So what customers are experiencing now, the high bills that we've talked about at the last utility committee meeting, are not being driven by
no
Grand
doubt,
Gulf.
but I'm just saying down the road.
That's a tough one to address, but we will have more specifics that we're prepared to talk about in August.
But I do think it's safe to assert that Grand Gulf being down does mean that the cost for power for Entergy customers is higher.
Grand Gulf being down means that there's more reliance on the natural gas prices, which are high at this moment. So it's exposing potentially customers to the MISO market, I'd say.
All right, thank you.
Which is mostly comprised of gas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Geruso, then Mr. Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I understand you don't have all the details, but we have like 5 microphones by my count in chambers right now. Is the announcement going to come out by press release, text, email, social media?
Yes, we'll send it out by press release, which should be going out shortly. And we will, in fact, before this meeting ends, we'll have more information for you. I want to make sure that I get it right, and I prefer to wait just a few minutes to make sure we say it correctly.
Yeah, I'd rather, listen, it's much easier to get it right the first time than trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube. I guess, though, I want to make sure that people also get it by text, by email as well, because I think,
through customer notification?
Yes, please.
Okay, that's fine.
I just think I'd rather not people have to search for the information and send.
No, I think that's a great idea, Councilmember. We'd be happy to do that.
Thank you so much. And then while everybody's here, because this was supposed to be resolved within a few days, Courtney, can you tell me about the gas arrearage where we said, well, I mean, we're trying to offset costs and look, you came today with money, we've come before with money, so let's talk about everything where it is on the table.
So we did, after the last meeting, I met with Norman White from the city. I think we have gotten past all of the issues that the city said that they needed to get resolved. I sent the wiring instructions to the city, so at this point we are waiting, hopefully, to receive those funds. I have not heard of any issues. I think everything is in the clear, and as soon as we receive those funds, we will promptly initiate the program to distribute those to customers in arrears.
All right, not to put you on the spot, but I mean, the money's not coming from the Cayman Islands, so are you getting the money tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday?
I don't know. I was told that they remit funds on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah, so maybe today. All right. Well,
maybe today or maybe Thursday. I will follow up if it's not happening by Thursday.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, I think you have a Governmental Affairs Committee meeting that day. So
I do.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
Sure it'll come up there too as well.
Mr.
Green and then Councilmember Harris.
Thank you very much. This is a good news announcement today for our citizens of the city who take advantage of the services and have to use the services. So I appreciate the meeting earlier today, and I like the way that you all didn't tell me about this information so that we could have it today for the public. That's great. That's great. So the public could share it at the same time. Councilman Geruso asked a very important question for me because immediately we're going to get calls and we're going to get texts. So that email of the press release is going to be very important, and that kind of summed up what I wanted to say. Some of the items that were talked about today are going to be easy to discuss in the press release: the waiving of late fees, the credit card fee waiver, the $10 million to help customers through the various entities such as, I guess, the Council on Aging and other sources. Could you talk just for a second about to the thousands of people who are watching, the 13 million in credits, how that applies to your average consumer.
So the 13 million in credits, that's a component of the ongoing formula rate plan proceeding that's currently pending before the council. So those credits were identified as essentially regulatory liabilities that we have to flow through to customers. Those were identified by the council's advisors actually in their what we call corrections report. So that period just passed where all the parties to the proceeding had an opportunity to file corrections reports. So we filed and the advisors filed. And that's just a commitment from us that we do agree with that adjustment that the advisors identified, and those credits would begin to roll through to customers at the same time as the rate effect of the FRP is implemented to offset that rate effect.
Okay, thank you. And that was for the layman. I do have a statement more than a question. It's to our citizens. A service disconnect suspension is a good idea, and it goes through November the 1st. It is a great idea. I want to emphasize to customers to recognize that it's not a waiver of the fees. You're still responsible for the fees, and I encourage us to be as energy efficient as we can. Take advantage of Energy Smart, for example, which is a resource that I think that more people should take advantage of. But also it was mentioned today that Entergy is ready for the phone calls that may come to arrange payment plans. Do not look at the lack of a disconnect as a payment plan itself. Feel free to call Entergy to whatever the number is that's appropriate, 1-800-ENTERGY. But at the end of the day, please, and you might comment on this, it is very important that 3 months from now on November the 1st that we not have in as many possible scenarios, as few scenarios as possible, bills that have accumulated that then make it extremely difficult to pay.
That's correct, and I'm going to have Sandra talk a little bit more about the details, but the reason that is important, not just for the customer, so that the customer does not continue to build debt and wait until the last minute. So at some point, we're hoping we get through this tough time, and then we're going to be back to normal course of business. So you don't want them to have too much there lingering in terms of debt. We will make payment arrangements with them if they call us. We prefer that they call us and make those in advance of waiting till that very last minute. The other reason I want to bring that up is, and I mentioned this briefly in my comments, is that we're still operating a utility company. We still need to make sure that those arrearages do not continue to build up, and that this company can continue to invest in infrastructure and other things that we have to do going forward. So we are trying to thread that needle, be very balanced, and making sure that our customers are taken care of during this difficult time, but that we don't sacrifice the financial health of the company.
And I think Ms. Rodriguez summed it up very nicely there. The only thing that I would add there is that we have experience working with our customers during this time. We know from the COVID experience when we had to institute a moratorium on disconnects, we were able to work with customers during that time. But I would also add that Entergy New Orleans, under Ms. Rodriguez's leadership, has a unique opportunity for customers to actually go into the walk-in centers to be able to get personal assistance. So in addition to calling, they can also go to one of our walk-in care centers, either on Canal Street or in Algiers as well.
Thank you.
Ms. Harris, and then Councilmember King.
Councilmember Green basically took the words right out of my mouth, which is don't get too far behind, because ultimately we know how it goes with credit cards and sewer and water board bills. So if you can make a payment, make a payment. I'd also like you guys to talk about levelized billing, which is something I personally do, and the impact that it can have on making sure that people can budget for Entergy bills.
That's so important that you brought that point up, because that's something that we also offer to customers, because it will offset the times when the bill is a little bit higher. Sometimes those who have gas, their bill may be a little bit higher in the wintertime. And so, it can offset the cost. And so for someone who has a bill that vacillates up and down, what happens is it allows them to get a more consistent payment that they can fit within their current budget. And so that's important, and we definitely offer that, and we've encouraged customers to take advantage of that, and it has made a difference.
Mr. King.
I'll be brief. I want to say a lot of people beat up on energy, sometimes rightfully so, but this is a step in the right direction to show that you all are trying to meet the citizens where they are and show them that we all care about our citizens who are going through high gas prices, inflation on all kinds of utilities, and loaf of bread. So this is a great step in the right direction. So I want to thank you for coming to us with something. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have comments, but I'll reserve them till after the public has made their comments. First up, we have Jesse George with the Alliance for Affordable Energy.
Thank you.
Thank you to the chair and to the committee. My name is Jesse George. I serve as New Orleans Policy Director for the Alliance for Affordable Energy. We'd like to commend the council for this action today. We certainly are in support of this moratorium as an important and necessary step at this time of unprecedented crisis that we're facing, which calls for strong intervention by this body. But I urge you today to look at long-term solutions, because this is only a short-term solution. Entergy sat up here just now and presents itself as sort of a helpless victim of the market, subject to methane prices that they have no control over. I find that claim disingenuous, though, when this is a utility that has worked actively to keep us dependent on expensive fossil fuel infrastructure, even going so far as to hire actors to appear before this body to approve the New Orleans Power Station out in New Orleans East, which is a methane-fired power plant, which, despite Entergy's continuing insistence, did not operate as promised when it was most needed in the wake of Hurricane Ida, and did not offer the true resilience that we need in this city. There's been a lot of talk about resilience and reliability in this chamber today, and I think about the hundreds of millions of dollars that ratepayers were charged for that lumbering power station that sat dark for days after Hurricane Ida. How many solar and battery backup systems could that money have paid for? How much weatherization could that money have paid for? So if we're going to talk about short-term moratoriums and bill relief, we cannot, the livability and affordability of this city cannot depend on temporary measures of this council, certainly cannot depend on the benevolent whims of Entergy. So we need long-term solutions, and that has to include looking at an aggressive transition away from fossil fuels and a divestment from Entergy's fossil fuel infrastructure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. George. We have next Angelina Elder.
Good evening, board. My name is Angelina Elder. I'm a civil rights activist, one of Mama D's students. I have a concern. We have been fighting these battles as public servants for all, I'm going to put it like this, under the Landor administration and present, our Mayor Cantrell administration, with our energy. We had the small portfolio. We had renewable portfolio with energy. Now we have web tail technology and aluminum technology. Y'all, our political leaders, y'all must come in with truth, with everything. Tell us citizens if our agencies are privatized. Tell us the truth, because what y'all doing white-collar crimes. Y'all not coming in with truth with us, period. We never had high light bills like this. Susan Water Board, this book that y'all put out here is a lie. Our Mississippi River is the second most polluted river in the world. I had my water privately tested because of the contaminants under Jed Banks' administration with lead paint. I have reached out to your office, Councilmember King, with a letter. Y'all have to come in with truth. We working on a federal level. We exhorted all our agencies out here, all our representatives. Congress said that we shouldn't have to fight this foe. Now we're working with the United Nations. You see, y'all are doing white-collar crimes. Y'all have to do y'all oath in office. We would not be having these wars out here if the FEMA money was put to the need of our villages. You see, and we suffering. New Orleans is one of the wealthiest islands on the universe. Our island is built on trade goods and services. We don't need no kind of corporation here to control our land. We have natural gas. We have natural resources. If we go grow cotton and potatoes and corn, we have natural gas. Our climate change, and that's an act of God. We have no control of that. You see what I'm saying? But we refuse to have corporations come in here to control our dollars. You see, and y'all gonna be held responsible because I have led our water traveling from Carrollton with lead and oil. A reporter from New York said that it's criminal what y'all doing. Y'all know it's criminal. You see, but y'all gonna be held responsible. Our FEMA dollars should have been allocated to the needs. J.P. Morrell, Ed Murray, that was the overseas of the FEMA dollars. Lakeview got 100%. I'm in the 7th ward. We got 30 or 40%. We should not have to come back and continue to suffer. New Orleans is opening up like the Red Sea. We got Congress members talking to us, telling us that what the politicians doing, Miss Elder. I said nothing because our children out here dying in the streets. The public dollars is not y'all money. The money is for the streets, for the needs of our children. Mama D babies should never have to suffer like this, you know, but it's pure racism. And if we gotta continue to fight, because we already let Chelsea Napoleon know that we got a stack of lawsuits that want us to do like 20 at a time, y'all gonna be held responsible. Y'all gotta answer to a higher calling. See, the blood is on y'all hands because we told y'all about that 13 years ago with our children dying out here. Tell the people the truth. You cannot use corporations to colonize this land. New Orleans gonna open up like the Red Sea. It's opening up now. But what y'all doing is white-collar crimes. Y'all should get tired of going to federal courts and doing federal time, because that's where we at. That's where we at. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Morgan. Mr. Morgan, are you here? Okay, I don't see Mr. Morgan. Next up, we have Mr.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's clear that people are frustrated by this whole Entergy thing, and I think what you saw her bring up there was this has been a problem that the residents of New Orleans have been trying to tell city leaders since Hurricane Katrina, like, you need to fix, there's certain basic things that you can fix, like basic civics and basic things that make a city work that will bring the floor for everybody. We're going to let her speak real quick.
Assistance Program LIHEAP, which is administered by Total Community Action, which is a federal allocation of funds to help low-income households address their energy burden. And I just wanted to make sure that the council had full information about where we are. TCA has received $6,156,921 in LIHEAP funding for this term, which ends on September 30th, 2022, even though the Louisiana Housing Corporation, which administers the program, has put a 18-month period, and so our budget for our federal ARP funds actually ends on July 30th, which gives the state the 60 days to either expend what is left or redisperse it. But I can tell you there will be nothing left in New Orleans. We have actually expended $4,812,821. We have served over 8,000 customers. The American Rescue Plan funds provided up to an additional $1,200 per eligible household on top of the regular energy assistance. But I do want to address, while I support the moratorium, because we can't get to all of the people who need help, that during a moratorium, the federal law does not allow us to provide crisis assistance because there will be no disconnects. And so we would probably then apply to the state to move those crisis funds to regular funding to assist the backlog of clients that we currently have. There is two other programs that we need to make sure the council is aware of, and we will send this report to the council, but I wanted to take this opportunity, considering that the media earlier had sent everyone who had needed energy assistance to Total Community Action. We already have 1,000 applications we are trying to process from the last 2 weeks. the Louisiana Home Water Assistance Program, the Low Income Home Water Assistance Program, LOWAP, which is a one-time program that came out of the ARP funding. We were allocated $1,014,380. We have expended, and it only went into effect the 1st of July, $384,211 on 379 clients. So that expenditure rate in back water fees is a little bit over $1,500 per assistance. We are the applicant, and I want to be real clear with this, with the Sewage and Water Board Water Help Program. We do not have the dollars. We take the applications and process them. It is up to Sewage and Water Board to apply them to the...
Ma'am, we're not addressing Sewage and Water Board today. You're over your time.
Oh, I was just going over all the utility programs.
I know, but today we're just dealing with Entergy, and we have Mr. Morgan just came back in. I hate to give him his time too, but I appreciate your comments. I thank you for clarifying what LAHEAT does, because I think that's very important, and I think that part of what you're addressing is why we need more information on Entergy's credits plan, because when we don't have information, they call groups like yours and they call the council to ask for answers to questions.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in right here and just say shout out to JP Morrell. So he is the head of this particular committee, and this was something that he was very adamant about. And the fact that it's seemingly everybody agrees on it, it just kind of shows when you have the proper leadership acting correctly. And listen, I know people have their issues or whatever with JP, but like when you have people working for the city, working for the community, and they're trying to lead people, like, yeah, it's contentious and all of that, but like we're working towards solutions. This is what a functioning city looks like.
Where energy has seemed to hold a big hold on this city. The point is that we plead, we beg, we ask for another energy company to come into the city. As long as it's one energy company, they will always take advantage of us. The people will not have a chance.
Yeah, I see somebody in the chat said to get Miss Elder on a podcast. Yeah, listen, I'll tell you guys, because you guys are here locked in with me, I am working on something, right? There is this thing that I'm trying to build, and if it builds and if it turns out the way that I want it to turn out, all of these folks that you see in these council meetings, the elders, the people with all of this like institutional community knowledge, I'm actually going to try to give them a platform so that community leaders can hear from them more than just at city council meetings. So stay tuned for all of that. It's going to be quite exciting if it all goes through. I think it is, so stay tuned.
The luxury way of living, which they are using us as a scapegoat to do as the high executives are doing. We ask, please, in the mercy of the whole city, south, east, and west of NOLA, help us to bring another energy company in this city, because we are tired of them. We don't trust them. We don't believe in them. We've been afflicted with too much lying from them. And also we know that the meters that they put on these houses are always in their favor. Whenever a company come with a product of their own and put it on your system of your home, it's not to benefit you, it's to benefit them. And the California outdoors meeting, because the reason is they cause cancer. And many people had told me geographic in this city that they had been affecting health from those meters. The meter should be removed, and who in the hell authorized those meters and the city system to put up on our houses and cause our children cancer in the future? It's a damn shame the way the system has sold us out.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
Look, when you see impassioned community members like him come up to this, microphone and the podium, I think we have to be able to take this sort of like nuanced approach when we see folks who are coming up to microphones and yelling and screaming. I know it's so easy to try to like marginalize these folks into you know, they're crazy, they're old, or whatever it is. But I think that you have to understand that their voice is valuable. And I believe one of the reasons why people go up to that microphone and scream all the time is because it's their only option in time to be able to even speak to the council people, right? And so, like, outside of this 2 minutes, and it's frustrating. I can understand the frustration. So, you know, whenever I see folks come up to the mic and passionate like that, you know, my heart goes out to them because I understand the level of trauma that leads to that sort of behavior, if you will.
That they're offering. I would like to know, first of all, what happens when the moratorium expires? What happens then when you have people that rack up bills and choose not to pay? I do know that I am going to pay my $300 bill that has been inflated $200 in a 2-month period for each month. It's like, how do you inflate a bill at $200 when you're not home? I work most of the time. I'm also a carpenter, so I know my home is insulated. My mother's home is insulated. We have more than enough to cover as far as insulation to keep the bill down, where the heat is not escaping. I would like to know, what are you doing about more programs to help people when these bills are inflated and we come to you asking for help? We've gone to TCA. TCA is telling us they're closed this week, as a matter of fact, because they have too many people that have applied, and yet they can't service anyone else. I've gone to a community meeting, and they're telling me we don't qualify because I make too much money and my mother is a homeowner, so we don't qualify. We've even gone through Entergy and asked for help, but yet they tell us, yes, we can allow you to have a little more time to pay, but when your bill is constantly inflating, $200 is a bit much. I came today and missed work because when you tell me I have to pay $200 more a month for a bill and I'm not using it anymore because I'm not home. I'm working 12, 14, 16 hours a day. When I leave my house in the morning, I turn my meter up. My meter is up at 74, 75. When I'm at home at night, 8, 9 o'clock at night, I turn it down to go to sleep at 69. Okay, what's the deal? I'm not using anything more, but yes, I'm being charged more. But please, make it available for people to get services, those that don't qualify, like my mother that's on a fixed income. Last time we had COVID, there was a glitch in the system. We happened to fall victim of that problem also with Entergy. Entergy has been profiting for years here in our city. We need someone else. Let's come up with a long-term solution other than just this moratorium. We need a long-term solution because during the COVID situation, yes, there was a glitch in the system. They were telling us we cannot go back. We can go back up to 6 months. But yet they had a $1,700 bill that we had to catch up with in addition to every month, along with that $1,700. Let's do something better than what we're doing, council. You guys are regulating things. Let's hold them responsible. They've profited long enough. Let's get some of this back to the people because we're the ones that's paying the bills. We're the ones right here in the city, homeowners, taxpayers, and we're asking for some relief. That's all I'm asking for. My mom's on a fixed income, so I stand here not just to represent my household, but I represent her household also. Because when she can't afford to pay her bill, I'd be damned if I'm gonna sit back and let her be in the dark, be in the heat. Now, we're dealing with the heat. What happens when the moratorium goes away and it's winter? We're gonna need just as much heat in the wintertime as we need air right now in the summer. And we're gonna have the same old issue because the bills are gonna be elevated because of our heat usage. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moffitt. Before we get to online comments, I'm going to make a few comments. All right, Noonie, can I make my comments? All right, so I have a couple of comments. The first is, though I appreciate the actions today, I think the council is very appropriate, and there's a lot. A moratorium is not a win, to be clear. And I want to be clear when I talk to the public. The moratorium is not a win. It's a stopgap measure. The reason why the council has stepped up, and the council as a whole, without fail, has stepped up on a moratorium is it is a public health issue where we cannot have people in this heat in their homes expiring because it's too hot to live. So we stepped in as a council to have this moratorium as a stopgap measure. It is not a solution. To be very clear, it's not a solution. I don't want anyone here who's watching today to think this is a solution to a problem. If anything, this is a form of triage. We're triaging a very larger, significant problem, which is spiraling bill cost. I think that I need to give a little bit of context. When Council President Moreno asked about Grand Gulf, to your point, Ms. Moffitt, when Grand Gulf, which is our nuclear facility that your ratepayers own about 20% of, it makes up 30% of our load of how we have electricity in the city of New Orleans. When Grand Gulf goes down and goes offline, the power plant you have paid for to keep the cost down stops working. We have to go to the market to buy energy. That is ridiculously expensive. And part of why you saw your bill spike is because there is a 2-month period, about a month, 2-month period, where Grand Gulf goes offline each year for refueling. And so that's what happened this year. So part of, not all of it, a small part of the bill bump was the Grand Gulf going offline for refueling, which is planned. Here is the underlying problem. The current Grand Gulf outage is not planned. We do not have a time when that will stop, which means, to be candid, you will see another spike in your bills in September for an extended period of time, because there's about a 2-month trail between when Grand Gulf has a problem and when it hits your bills. The reason why Grand Gulf is one of the many things on the August 4th agenda is that, as I've stated previously, it is beyond my understanding, and it is offensive to me for the ratepayers of the city to own part of something that doesn't work. And that when it doesn't work, ratepayers take it on the chin until it can start working again. That is a reason why we are involved in litigation already over Grand Gulf, and why we'll be involved in more litigation likely over Grand Gulf, because if it is not run properly and it is not reliable, we as a council, we as ratepayers own part of something that's not working, and it's not keeping the promise, which is to keep rates low. I appreciate Entergy's efforts today to come forward with some form to help mitigate fees. But to be clear, with the spiraling costs, these are also stopgap measures. There has to be a complete review of all the bills that are coming in, why these costs are spiraling at this level, and as a council, we've already instructed our advisors and our cure office to begin just that, because you cannot continue to have rates spiral upwards beyond beyond what is even reasonable, to a point where people cannot simply afford to have energy in their homes. That's our job as regulators, is to control the market in a way that makes the market work for people. That is the way. The council is not here to make sure. One of the challenges I have as utilities chair is that there's an ongoing debate as to what a healthy company is. For some people, they define a healthy company as a company that is immensely profitable. For other people, they define a healthy company as a company that has a reasonable rate of return. I think that part of one of the underlying problems as a regulator that we have that has to be addressed is we need to look at our law and our contracts to define what healthy is. Because when you look at so many different companies that have struggled over COVID and over every crisis, our utility has not struggled. It has made tremendous profits. Right. And I think part of what frustrates citizens at this level is that while interest rates rise, as your dollar pays for less things, these costs seem to spiral out of control without a ceiling. And we have to get in front of that. I will tell you that something I've said in many meetings, and many of you haven't been to all of our utility meetings, the Energy Smart program needs a substantial revamp. It does not work for everyone. I've met people who think it's fantastic, who transferred out all their LED bulbs in their houses, but I don't think that is a sustainable or even efficient use of Energy Smart money and the money we give to it. When you look at what that money could be used for, a tremendous part of it goes into marketing. As I've stated previously, Entergy New Orleans is a large company with a very sophisticated algorithm and tracking model for consumers. There's no reason why resources can't be made available to everyone once their bills get too high, and why it can't be an automatic process. Even with Energy Smart now, you have to know how to enroll. As Ms. Moffitt said, you have to hope you can get in the program and they'll give you resources. It shouldn't be that way. If we're going to rely on technology as a solution, Energy Smart should kick in automatically well before your bill gets out of reach, because the predictive models that Entergy has tells them when your bill is starting to spiral out of reach. So I appreciate the council's work today. I appreciate Entergy offering credits and we need more facts about that, obviously, but I want to be clear to everyone, this is not a solution. It is a stopgap measure to help us work towards a solution. And as Councilmember Green said, as Councilmember Harris said, please do not have the false interpretation that this means you don't pay your Entergy bill. All this means is that you have more time to pay it and catch up. And what it also means in some instances is that some of the fees are waived. That's it. That's all this buys you through November 1st, is that your power won't be shut off, and because of the moratorium process, you will have some fees waived. I encourage everyone, if able, to attend or watch the August 10th meeting, because I think a lot of the questions you have, I know many people, including this council, are frustrated over the state of Grand Gulf. We are also demanding answers, and there are a tremendous amount of federal regulations that regulate nuclear power plants. We will have answers for you on August 10th because we've told Entergy New Orleans we will settle for nothing less. So there will be real answers at the August 10th meeting on that, as well as a variety of other issues that are pending. And also, there's plenty of time between now and then. As ratepayers, if there are other things that this council can do, we are looking at every available option on mitigating these bill costs. But we're also not the smartest people in the room. You've seen a lot of nonprofit organizations like Alliance for Affordable Energy who showed up and provide alternatives. But as a public, if you have comment on what we can do better, we take constructive criticism. And please continue to give it. Aaron, 10 minutes for online comments.
Well, that was freaking fantastic. Listen, I mean, I think JP pretty much laid it all out right there, and I love that. I love that he's acknowledging that while this moratorium is great and while it's going to be amazing and an amazing tool to help people, it is a stopgap, right? And I get it, right? We are dealing with historic high temperatures, historic climate change, and all of these different things. And to get us through November, right? And to me, somebody asked, why November? Is it until the November election? That's a national issue, right? You're trying to make a national issue a local issue.
If
This has
that's
nothing
too
to
much
do
of
with
a
the
challenge for
midterm. I
them,
mean, or maybe it
then they
does. Who
should be
knows?
stripped
But
of power and utilities
to
to
me,
be
it
moved
seems like it
into
lines up a
public
little bit
use.
more with hurricane season because that's sort of around the end of hurricane
pause that
season.
for a second.
And
I
if you're
think Ms.
going to
Rodriguez
give
wants to
people
make
an
a
opportunity to, have
some
this
of
sort
the
of
information
moratorium,
that you
I
asked
think
on
through
the
hurricane
program.
season,
Because
if we're
we,
using this just
got all of this
again as a
information
stopgap,
in the announcement, we are still
that
working
makes
on
sense
the
to me.
details.
So
I don't
it
have
looks
them.
like we're
I
gonna
was
have some
hoping
public
to have them
comment.
by the end
I'm
of
gonna
this
pull
meeting.
back and
It'll
we'll
be
just
the
listen
next
to
few
this
days,
and
but
watch it
as
go.
Councilmember Giarrusso suggested, we will send it out via text to our customers. We'll make sure that this council gets this information, and we'll work with community partners. So it won't just be Entergy. Excuse me? Okay, just a moment. So I'm sorry, I'm being very distracted here by somebody behind me.
Just, Ms. Rodriguez, you can finish your comments real quickly so we can
Okay,
make comments.
sorry.
Just go ahead.
All right. It is very distracting. So I wanted to make sure that we did provide the information as soon as we can, and I wanted to follow up on that. The last thing that I also wanted to mention is that we're willing to work with the council on other projects that what we said, other initiatives, the bill credits. We'll work with the council advisors. There's other opportunities for mitigation of bills, and that is something that we will work very closely with any of you and your offices to see if there are other opportunities. And
Thank
that's
you.
all.
Boy,
Thank you.
JP Morrell out here saving lives. Y'all saw that? Y'all saw that? She was about to catch some hands real quick. She was about to go full on Karen. I can't speak because I'm being distracted. Thank you. JP was like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Energy prices is ableist.
That's
evil,
amazing.
And so are monopolies. Municipalized energy. They shouldn't have a monopoly on the power grid. How are people who can barely afford rent supposed to pay these outrageous energy bills? Bob Morell. I support this effort and would love to see it applied to Sewage and Water Board. Sarah Bodenstein. I support the moratorium on power shutoffs. I do not believe Entergy should be able to shut off people's power for any reason. Jessica Wheeler. Entergy functions as a monopoly, holding people's access to necessary utilities hostage. They provide poor service while raising prices to unsustainable levels. I support prohibiting shutoffs to ensure people have access to necessary utilities and preventing a problematic company from continuing to profit off of New Orleans residents. Lori Giovanni. No one should be forced to live without electricity under any circumstance. Please support the moratorium on shutoffs. Stuart B. Hurt. Entergy New Orleans has been unable to explain the astronomical hikes reflected in ratepayers' bills in many cases. This freeze would allow users time to contest these bills in cases of E&O error and provide time to gather payment where no error has occurred. Perhaps E&O could cut into its shareholder profits to cover its own costs rather than extorting its ratepayers. I support this moratorium. Rachel Wallace. I support a moratorium on power shutoffs. In this here people need access to AC, disability, or illness aids, and more. Abraham McNeil. Entergy needs to either be made into a public entity or go fully private and not be able to get benefits of a public enterprise. The city must do something because we are at a crisis in the nation, being at the brink of recession, and the city still hasn't made a full decision on where they will go with Entergy, and it's costing the citizens. E&O needs to have an income sliding scale for citizens in the city to help battle these issues, I suggest. Ben Gordon, representing PAC Christie USA and Vets for Peace in NO. I ask the council to approve the utility shutoff moratorium. It would be dangerous to cut utilities at a time of extreme heat and runaway inflation, putting more stress on working class people. Utilities are part of my rent, and my landlord has invested in solar power and has been very fair to me, but others may not fare out as well. COVID times add to the stress. Thank you. Monique Harden, representing the Deep South Center for Environmental Justice. The Deep South Center for Environmental Justice supports this resolution to temporarily prohibit Entergy from shutting off customers in New Orleans. Given the significant spike in Entergy bills, the council should take action to ensure billing accuracy. This is an issue of fairness. Additionally, customers are denied a meaningful way to contest their bills. Who in the City Council Utility Regulatory Office is responsible for ensuring billing accuracy by Entergy? Who responds to customer complaints about excessive charges on Entergy bills? What is the procedure for evaluating Entergy's billing system in practice? New Orleans residents deserve an answer to these questions. The Deep South Center for Environmental Justice recommends that the council establish a biannual audit of Entergy's billing system and practice. We also recommend a web portal for customer complaints that go directly to Curo for handling and resolution. Y. Frank Saldal, representing Jane Place Neighborhood Sustainability Initiative. Good morning, City Council. I support this moratorium on shutoffs. Rent, gas, and the general cost of living is extremely high. Entergy has made millions of dollars off the backs of working class and middle class New Orleanians. Folks need a break, and we need to rein Entergy in. Please vote yes to supporting a moratorium. However, I want to remind you that winter is right around the corner. We need a long-term solution towards energy needs that include the potential municipalization of Entergy. Thank you, and God bless our city. Kristen Donat. I support this. We cannot shut off people's power. Ideally, but especially during these hot months. We must stand with our community members, not the energy company. Jenna Losh. Ending shutoffs is a great proposal, especially as Entergy's rates become impossibly high, seemingly right along with their profits. People's health and quality of life depends on their access to electricity, and this is a small Band-Aid on the much bigger problem of these exploitative utilities providers. Dacry Jones. It's essential you look at the Stop Entergy Price Gouging group on Facebook. 27,000 people are on it. There's nothing but complaints about bills, some tripling and seeing this as well. With inflation and rising rents, it is already becoming impossible for some people to simply live. This monopoly failed in its neglect of its own infrastructure and putting it on blameless customers while giving their senior staff raises. Whose side are you on?
Aaron, that's 10 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you. Before we get to the vote, I do want to add one thing because it was brought up during the meeting. The Sewage and Water Board, the committee that as a result of the legislation passed last session regarding Sewage and Water Board billing to create billing oversight and to, as well as to revamp the Sewage and Water Board appeals process to create due process for citizens. That committee will have its first meeting in mid to late August. The enactment date was August 1st. The council president will appoint the two members in August. That was a result of work with this council, Representatives Hilford E. Hughes and Senators Bowie, Harris, and Carter, in addressing the tremendous issues regarding Sewage and Water Board billing, because as many of you know, Sewage and Water Board billing, depending on the bill you received, would make the energy bill seem reasonable in comparison, because some of those have been absolutely insane. So that committee will be meeting mid to late August in its first meeting to begin that process of creating a real due process for citizens regarding Sewage and Water Board billing. With that, I will entertain a motion to report the resolution favorably. Made by Representative Druso. Don't press the button. All right. Seconded by Mr. King. Please vote your machines.
No machine.
3 yeas, no nays. It will be reported favorably.
Yeah, you go. Of course not. Nobody would be stupid enough to vote against this since this is for the people. And it looks like, from the sounds of it, it's going to go through. So there we go. It was a quick little committee meeting. And we got some great information and some great content. As always, thank you guys for following along here on the stream. And I'll let you know when we have the next stream. Have a good one, guys.